أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم أما بعد Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome everybody. Inshallah, today we will be covering the final ayat of Surah Maidah. Quick recap from last week. So the ayahs that we talked about last week, they discussed the idea of the filth of gambling and alcohol. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that they're from ritsun shaitan, from the filth of shaitan, and fajtanibu, and then stay away from them as much as we can, right? And at the end of that, he's asking us why, and he explains all the evil that it can cause. And then at the end of that, he asked us why don't you stay away from those things which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which indeed there are. فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُنْتَهُونَ? Then why aren't you going to abstain from those things? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks more about the evil, how plentiful it is, and how much it makes us want to fall into it, and it's all around us wherever we're looking, and that scale of what's good and bad is constantly sliding scale if we go by society. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, no, the standard is by the Prophet ﷺ and the Quran. And so don't keep changing with whatever society is considering to be good today and bad tomorrow. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is kind of giving us that reminder. And then towards the latter end of where we ended last week, there was this concept of asking good questions. That don't just ask questions that may make that you have no intention of acting upon. Right? So only ask questions that if they get answered, they're not going to pose an additional form of difficulty. And that concept has also come up in Surah Baqarah, where Bani Israel would consistently ask questions that were making life more difficult for them. And then so with ayah number 102, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is continuing that thought, and he says, قَدْ سَأَلَهَا قَوْمٌ مِّن قَبْلِكُمْ ثُمَّ أَصْبَحُوا بِهَا كَافِرِينَ. And people before you have asked such questions. This is not the first time, O Rasulullah, that you're going to be asked anything like this. People have already in the past have asked questions like this. ثُمَّ أَصْبَحُوا بِهَا كَافِرِينَ. And then they became disbelievers because of that. Because when they were asked to slaughter a cow, what cow should it be? How big should it be? What kind? Give us more explanation about the cow. And it became more and more difficult. And as it became harder and harder for them to resolve to find that cow, then they disbelieved in things like that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, make sure when you have a good intention, you understand the questions that you're asking, and that when you get the answer, you make it your personal goal to fulfill the answer that you've been received. Ayah number 103, ما جعل الله من بهيرة ولا سائبة ولا وصيلة ولا حام ولكن الذين كفروا يفترون على الله الكذب. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not made the bahira, the sabi'ah, the wasila or ham as something that you also need to adhere to. And what are these things? So bahira is an animal whose milk was dedicated for the idol. So these were all pre-Islamic Jahiliyyah concepts that the Arabs used to practice. And what they would do is they would associate some specific milk from a camel and dedicate it to an idol. And again, once Muslims conquered Mecca, they would still see these animals roaming the streets, right? The sabi'ah was an animal that had a tag on it that was said, okay, this is for this idol. And so what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing in this ayah, he's saying that none of this was done in the right intention. And so you don't have to adhere to those laws, pre-Islamic Jahiliyyah laws, that prevented you from utilizing that animal or the milk from that animal. Wasila is a she camel that consistently gave female offsprings, right? So they thought that that was a super special camel, and it was some sacred camel that it was consistently going to be giving more and more wealth. So they said that this animal is now sacred, and they would not touch it. Or hamin, a male camel, which would give multiple when it copulated, that it would give multiples. So again, these were concepts of Jahiliyyah, and the Arabs would tend to consider these animals sacred. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَلَكِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, however, they had actually disbelieved in what they were doing. وَيَقُولُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ كَذِبًا, and what they were saying against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a lie. Like they were lying against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ, and most of يَفْتَرُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ كَذِبًا, and they fabricated these lies against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And وَأَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ, and most of them, they had no idea. They didn't understand what they were really doing by taking something other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alongside. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying all of these practices are no longer to be practiced, and those animals that may be there at that time, you are free to utilize those animals. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ, and now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, okay, so it's not like a flip of a switch type of thing. Sometimes things take time to understand. But these things, these Jahiliyyah practices, you can say, that have no like rational understanding, they have no benefit to the human mind or to society. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, when you've been asked to let these things go, let them go. Right? And sure, we don't have the exact same practices that they may have had in the times of Jahiliyyah, right? Such as Bahira, Sa'iba, Wasila, and Hamin. But we have practices in our cultures, in our respective cultures, at the time of birth, what to do, certain things we may do to a child, or at the time of marriage, what we do as part of our culture, or at the time of death, what we intend and we part with, and what we practice, what some things that are done. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ تَعَالَوْا إِلَى مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this book. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, it's said to them to come, go to what was sent to you. Use that text to decide whether what you are following in is good or bad. وَإِلَى الرَّسُولِ, and the messenger. Come toward Allah and His messenger, or toward what was revealed and His messenger. What do they reply? قَالُوا حَسْبُنَا مَا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهِ آبَاءَنَا. And they respond to this calling by saying, what we found our fathers to be doing, that's sufficient for us. Right? Whatever our cultural baggage is, we want to continue to take that with us. We don't want to find out what the truth is. Right? And even the word in ta'ala, it has this idea that somebody is at the top of a cliff or a mountain, and you are on a rock beneath them. And from the top, you have a full view of what's around you, right? You have a full 360 view. And when you're asking your friend to pull him up to the top so that he may have that full view while he's stuck in the ditch, right? That's ta'al, to bring someone up to be able to have that full understanding. And this person, they are being consistent and stubborn on the fact that no, I am okay being ignorant. I don't want to know. This is how it's been done for generations, and I'm going to stick to this. And they're just stuck upon the fact that this is how it's done. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then refutes them further and He says, أَوَلَوْ كَانَ آبَاؤُهُمْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ. Do they know whether their forefathers were, even if they were guided, or they had nothing, right? Were they even, those individuals, did they understand? Did they know what they were doing? وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ, nor were they guided. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is begging us to ask ourselves, we have been given intellect. We have been given understanding. We need to realize and come upon our own conclusions whether some things that we may do or practice fall under the aspects of bid'ah or shirk? And we have to answer to that, because we can't say, oh yeah, our parents did that or our grandparents did that, and that's the same reason why we're doing that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu alaykum anfusakum. Oh, you who believe, upon you is what you need to take care of yourselves. You are going to be held liable or questioned for yourself. لا يضركم من ضل إذا اهتديتم. The ones who have gone astray, they cannot harm you. إلى الله مرجعكم جميعا. And only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will you all return. فَيُنَبِّئُكُم بِمَا كُنتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. So that you may be informed with what you had been doing. So at the end of the day, what your actions, you are going to be dedicated to, they're going to be dedicated to you for what you have done. And so it's really important for us to realize that whatever the past has happened, it has happened. We can ask for forgiveness. But now the baton is in our hand. We get to dictate how life is going to be moving forward for us. Right? And if we're parents, how life is going to be dictated for our kids moving forward. And so we have to make sure that we just don't blindly follow the same things that may have happened back home. We need to stand up and ask ourselves whether these are Islamic or un-Islamic. And this ayah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu alaykum anfusakum, when it was revealed, actually, even at the time of Abu Bakr, some of the companions were having a false understanding, you can say, of these ayat. And what they thought was that because of this, that being revealed towards the end of the time of the Prophet ﷺ, that this was the final command to the Muslims, that you only have to take care of yourself. And Abu Bakr got on the minbar and he explained to the congregation that no, Amar bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar still applies. You still have to go out and you still have to spread the message of Islam. Yes, you're not answerable if they follow the religion or not, but you are only answerable about yourself. But at the same time, you have to continue to propagate the religion. You have to continue to propagate what the true teachings of Islam are. So that misconception was actually taken out at the time of Abu Bakr himself. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu shahadatun bainakum idha hadara ahadakumul maut. And so in the next few ayahs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to touch upon some aspects of inheritance. So again, that most of that was covered in Surah Nisa. And this being the sister surah of Surah Nisa is going to touch upon some of the final aspects of that. And so, O you who believe, again, it's a commandment to you and I. Shahadatu bainakum idha hadara ahadakumul maut. That you are witnessing that death is coming upon you. You are getting old. You are realizing that death is upon you. Hina al-wasiyya ithnan dhawal adl. Then what you have to do is you have to take two individuals who possess adl, justice, and you're going to give them the wasiyah, i.e. your will. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving them a means of how to essentially take upon a will, to pass down the will. So minkum, from dhawal adl minkum, so two people who have possessed justice from amongst you, aw akharani min ghayrikum in antum darabtum fil ard. Or let's say you were traveling, right? And فَأَصَابَتْكُمْ مُصِيبَةُ الْمَوْتِ, and the pangs of death were coming onto you. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the exception is, then you can go ahead and take two individuals who are unknown, who may not be from your immediate community, immediate family circle. Otherwise, you need to try to take individuals amongst yourself, right? So it says minkum. Now, Mufassirun have said that means within your family, that means within the Muslim community. But then the opposite of that is akharani min ghayr. Then the others that are outside. That could then mean if you are traveling and you don't have the means of having your family members immediately available to you, then in that situation, you may take others to confide in about your will. Or even, let's say, if they are non-Muslims that you are around, then you may confide in your will to them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making that understanding for us. فَأَصَابَتْكُمْ مُصِيبَةُ الْمَوْتِ تَحْبِسُونَهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ الصَّلَاةِ فَيُقْسِمَانِ بِاللَّهِ إِنِ ارْتَبْتُمْ لَا نَشْتَرِي بِهِ ثَمَنًا وَلَوْ كَانَ ذَا قُرْبَى. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining the situation that what will transpire. Right? So in the worst case situation, let's say you were traveling. So the exception is being mentioned first. So you were traveling and you took two individuals who were outside from this community and you confided in them about your wasiyah, your will, essentially. And these two individuals now came back to the community and they told the congregation or whoever they needed to that this is the will of so and so. This is what he is asking. And so this situation, it presents itself. Now, for some reason, there is some sort of doubt. There's some sort of misunderstanding from these individuals. May not be the most upright individuals. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining to us what the process of that is going to be. And that is تَحْبِسُونَهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ الصَّلَاةِ. Hold the congregation back, right? تَحْبِسُونَهُمَا, hold them back after prayer. فَيُقْسِمَانِ بِاللَّهِ, and make them swear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make them take an oath to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنِ ارْتَبْتُمْ, that if you are indeed in doubt, لا تشتري به ثمنا ثمنا ولو كان ذا قربى. That what they're going to say, the testimony is that we're not going to sell our testimony for any price. We're not trying to make any financial gain from this testimony, even if close a relative is involved. ولا نكتم شهادة الله, and that we will not hide God's testimony, shahadat Allah, even though their testimony is the testimony of the will, right? The person who had passed away, whatever wasiyah he had given to them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying at this point, right? It's only you two individuals who know what this dying person has said. So wala naktum shahadat Allah, that we will not hide God's testimony. Inna idhal laminal athimin, and certainly if we did that, we should be of the wrongdoers. So you need to take these two individuals, if you have doubt about them, and make them say this oath, right? And then once they've said this, Assalamu alaikum. And then if they have said this, then you have to accept their testimony. فَإِنْ عُثِرَ عَلَىٰ أَنَّهُمَا, then if you stumble upon, or then if you come upon this, right? Uthira is that it's discovered. It literally means like something that's detected. You're now sensing that, okay, there's something seriously wrong. And now you're upon further investigation. Now it's the community's responsibility, because these two individuals have taken an oath in front of the community that we are telling the truth. Now it's upon the community to make sure, the story corroborates. Make sure that person who died was in the city where these two people were, who were saying that this so and so had told us about this, right? So now they're trying to make sure that everything matches up. But فَإِنْ عُثِرَ عَلَىٰ أَنَّهُمْ اسْتَحَقَّ, that these people are guilty of ithman, that they're guilty of perjury, that they're guilty of making false claim, right? فَآخَرَانِ يَقُومَانِ, then two other individuals, in order to refute them, have to now stand up. Two other individuals are going to have to stand up. مَقَامَهُمَا, and in their place. مِنَ الَّذِينَ اسْتَحَقَّ عَلَيْهِمْ, from the ones who have now more of a right to have to that, you can say, the heir, or they're the next of kin, or they're the ones who were closer, who knew that this so and so, the person who had passed away. So then what they're going to do, al-awliyani فَيُقْسِمَانِ بِاللَّهِ لَشَهَادَتُنَا أَحَقُّ مِنْ شَهَادَتِهِمَا. Then they're going to have to stand up and then take that witness against these two individuals who are the newcomers in society. And they're going to say, no, we testify. We know something other than this as being the wasiyah of the dying person. These people are clearly in the wrong. right? وَمَا اعْتَدَدْنَا, and we have not transgressed our bounds. So now these people are being held liable to say the following: إِنَّ إِذًا لَمِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. And had we transgressed, then we would certainly be amongst the wrongdoers. ذَلِكَ أَدْنَى, and that is closer for you, that is safer for you. أَن يَأْتُوا بِالشَّهَادَةِ عَلَى وَجْهِهَا أَوْ يَخَافُوا, that they will give you the true and proper testimony, right? Literally the face value, عَلَى وَجْهِهَا أَوْ يَخَافُوا أي أن ترد أيمانا بعد أيمانهم. And then these two people, because they know they're the community members, they're the people who this dying person is related to potentially, right? So they're actually going to be afraid. يخافون أن ترد أيمان بعد أيمانهم, that somebody might refute their claim, because they're not going to go away. These two individuals who had come in the beginning, they could have just made their claim and taken some things on and just walked off and benefited from that at the end of the day, and then never to be seen. But here, these two individuals who are now being told that you are going to have to stand up and refute the claim of these, the two previous individuals, they are part of the community. They're going to have to live through that society day in and day out. So if they have more of a fear to make sure that what they're saying is true, wattaqullah and wasma'u, then have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and listen, right? And this is a command to everyone, not just the two individuals, to everyone as a society, to have taqwa when it comes to these matters. And wasma'u, and listen, because you're about to hear the testimonies of two individuals about the will, right? So it's going to be confusing. It's going to be something that you and I have to pay careful attention to make sure that we're making the correct decision at the end of the day, right? Because if you don't, corruption is going to happen. Wrong individuals will become inheritors, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Wallahu la yahdi al-qawm al-fasiqin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He does not like a corrupt nation. He does not like people who are inclined towards doing wrong. Yawma yajma'u Allahu ar-rasul. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is starting the last passage of Surah Maidah, and this is essentially going to be the khitab to you and I as we're listening, and specifically to the Christians of the time and of today. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to talk very in a direct tone as to what the repercussions and what happened. Again, a similar ending happened in Surah Nisa, where the Christians were talked to towards the end of the surah, right? And so yawma yajma'ullah, and on a day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will gather everybody, الرسول فيقول ماذا أجبتم, and then he will assemble all the messengers and he will ask, right? ماذا أجبتم, what response did you receive? What did your nation say? And in response to that, they are going to say, لا علم لنا إنك أنت علام الغيوب. We have no knowledge. إنك أنت علام الغيوب, and you are alone have the understanding of the unseen, right? So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, He's essentially creating the courtroom case for us. He's giving us how and each aspect of the legal defense, you can say, and He's creating the case, and He's going to go through step by step, and He's going to show us what is going to happen. So first, He's asking all the prophets. And all of the prophets at this time, on this very scary day, they are not willing to just talk. They don't want to say anything incorrect. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِذْ قَالَ اللَّهُ, and then He says, Ya Isa ibn Maryam. He calls out Isa ibn Maryam. Why Isa alayhi salam specifically? Right? Look around us. The majority of the population of the world today, they are Christians. Right? So on the day of judgment, they are going to be waiting for Isa alayhi salam to testify so that they can be, according to them, saved. Right? They're waiting so that their savior is going to come in front of God and tell them, God, these are my people, and you're going to have, because of my blood, they are saved. Right? But yet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explaining to us what the scene is actually going to look like. So He calls, Ya Isa ibn Maryam, Udhkuru ni'mati alayk. Remember my blessings upon you. Wa ala walidatik, and upon your mother. Idh ayyadtuka bi ruhil qudus. And remember when I aided you with Jibreel alayhi salam, Ruhul Qudus. تُكَلِّمُ النَّاسَ فِي الْمَهْدِ وَكَهْلًا. And you talked while you were in the in the cradle, and you talked as an adult man, right, in a middle-aged man. وَإِذَا عَلَّمْتُكَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. And I taught you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking personal ownership of the fact that he taught Isa alayhi salam the book, i.e. the law, wal-hikmah, and the wisdom. And what are those two things transpired through? Wat-Tawrah wal-Injil. Right? Kitab al-Hikmah, Tawrah, Injil. That's what the Kitab is, Tawrah, al-Hikmah is Injil. وَإِذْ تَخْلُقُ مِنَ الطِّينِ. And that you create, and remember when you created from clay, كَحَيْئَةِ الطَّيْرِ. You created the shape of a bird. You out of clay, you created the shape, bi'idhni. And even that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying you did that because of I allowed you to. And you know, it's so amazing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even to that, he says bi'idhni. Because like, think about it. Some of us, we are not capable of doing much when it comes to with our hands, right? If you give me a piece of clay and you ask me to make a shape of a bird, you're going to get something really, really weird looking. You probably will not recognize that it's a bird, because most likely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give me the ability to be really good with my hands. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is even to that, he's saying you were able to create that bird out of clay by my permission. بِإِذْنِ فَتَنْفُخُ فِيهَا فَتَكُونُ طَيْرًا بِإِذْنِ. Then you blew in it and it became a bird. And again, بِإِذْنِ, by my permission. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is step by step going through the miracles that he gave to Isa alayhi salam. And he's telling him, didn't I give you this? Didn't I allow you to do this? Didn't I allow you to do that? وَتُبْرِئُ الْأَكْمَهَ وَالْأَبْرَصَ بِإِذْنِ. Didn't you cure the blind? Didn't you cure the leper? بِإِذْنِ, by my will. وَإِذْ تُخْرِجُ الْمَوْتَ بِإِذْنِ. And didn't you raise the dead by my will? وَإِذْ كَفَفْتُ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ عَنْكَ. And didn't I and weren't Bani Israel prevented from uprising against you? I held back the children of Israel. وَإِذْ كَفَفْتَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ عَنْكَ إِذْ جِئْتَهُمْ بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ. After you had brought clear evidence to them. فَقَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا مِنْهُمْ إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا سِحْرٌ مُبِينٌ. And those who, when you brought these things to them, the individuals who said that this is nothing but clear magic, I held them back against you, because they were trying to kill you, but I prevented that from happening. And again, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is really creating that case now. And then he says, وَإِذْ أَوْحَيْتُ إِلَى الْحَوَارِيِّينَ إِنْ آمِنُوا بِي وَبِرَسُولِي. And I was the one who inspired, I was the one who enjoined upon the Hawariyun, your disciples, that believe in me, آمِنُوا بِي, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَبِرَسُولِي, and believe in the messenger, my messenger. And qalu, and they responded, the Hawariyun, and they responded, Amanna washhad bi annana muslimun, that we believe and we testify that we are certainly the ones who submit. Right? And they themselves, the Hawariyun, they claim that they are Muslimun of their time. They are the ones who truly submit. And imagine the astonishment that's going to be on the faces of the Christians as they are witnessing this conversation happening between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Isa alayhi salam, that the disciples of Jesus were Muslims. Right? Like the shock on their face is just going to be in utter disbelief. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us that this is going to happen on the Day of Judgment. إِذْ قَالَ الْحَوَارِيُّونَ يَا عِيسَى. And then remember when the Hawariyun, your disciples, and they said in ayah number 112, إِذْ قَالَ حَوَارِيُّونَ يَا عِيسَى, O Isa ibn Maryam, O Isa ibn Maryam. And again, notice how the Hawariyun and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this passage all are associating Isa ibn Maryam, Isa son of Mary. Right? It's not Isa son of God. Even the Hawariyun, they themselves called Isa son of Mary. They didn't even have the audacity to say what now the Christians associate today. So when the Hawariyun, they said, O Isa ibn Maryam, هَلْ يَسْتَطِعُ رَبُّكَ. Are you able to call to your Lord or ask for your Lord, أَن يُنَزِّلَ عَلَيْنَا مَائِدَةً مِنَ السَّمَاءِ, that he sent upon us a ma'idah from the sky. that he descend upon us a Maidah upon the sky. And a Maidah, which the surah is named after, is what we call a table spread. And the best way for me to explain what that is whether you celebrate Thanksgiving or not, but think about the table on what happens on that dinner. The decorated table with just decked out food, right? So that's Maidah. So send upon us a pre-cooked, decked out meal from the heavens. Qala. And so Isa alayhi salam, he responds to these Hawariyun now. He says, Ittaqullah in kuntum mu'minin. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you are indeed believers. Because throughout the history of Bani Israel, right, they have asked for one miracle and after another. And so Isa alayhi salam is afraid that these disciples, his companions, his Sahaba, are also going to now fall into that same trap. He's afraid for them, right? Because he knows that what the previous nations asked for and what they got and what they responded and how they responded. And so he does not want that same cycle to continue because he's going to be the last of these messengers to them. And so he asks them, Ittaqullah, fear Allah. Understand what you're asking about. So the Hawariyun, they respond, Qalu nuridu an na'kula minha. Oh Isa alayhi salam, we just want to eat from it. You know, we're hungry. Wa tatma'inna qulubuna. And we want to satisfy our heart. And again, this is something that actually has a precedence to it as well, right? Remember, we read about Ibrahim alayhi salam. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how do you make life and death? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him are you not a believer? Like, do you not understand? And Allah, the response by Ibrahim alayhi salam was, oh Allah, I only want to find the contentness in my heart. I only want to have itma'an al-qulub. The same thing that these Hawariyun were now asking for. So وَنَعْلَمْ أَنْ قَدْ صَدَقْنَا. So that we can be very sure that you are truthful. وَنَكُونَ عَلَيْهَا مِنَ الشَّاهِدِينَ. And that we will be amongst those who witness. Right? So that was the intent behind what the Hawariyun were asking. And so in response to that, now Isa alayhi salam, he says, قَالَ Isa ibn Maryam, and Isa alayhi salam says, Allahumma Rabbana anzil alayna ma'idah. Oh Allah, descend upon us, send us a ma'idah, a table spread, the food that is being asked by my companions, right? Minas sama, from the sky. تَكُونُ لَنَا عِيدًا, so that we can celebrate, so that it can be a happy occasion for it. Literally, so that it can be our Eid, right? تَكُونُ لَنَا عِيدًا, so that it can be our Eid. لِأَوَّلِنَا وَآخِرِنَا, and so that it can be remembered by our generations in the present and those in the future. وَآخِرِنَا وَآيَةً مِنْكَ, and as a sign from you, right? So that people will talk about this and it will be continually mentioned from generation to come, right? And think about it, right? Everybody, the Christians understand what the concept of the Last Supper is. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is essentially going to be accepting this dua. وَرَزُقْنَا أَنْتَ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ, and provide us, give us rizq, because you are the one who gives the best of provisions. قَالَ اللَّهُ, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then responds. Right, and listen to this. So the dua was made. The request was made by the Hawariyun first. Then Isa alayhi salam made the dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is responding to them. Inni munazziluha alaykum. I will definitely send it to you. I'm going to give you what you are asking for. The table spread, the ma'idah, the food, the succession for it to be remembered. I'm going to grant you that. But فَمَن يَكْفُرْ بَعْدَ مِنْكُمْ, then whoever is going to disbelieve after that, فَإِنِّي أُعَذِّبُهُ عَذَابًا لَا أُعَذِّبُهُ أَحَدًا مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ. And this is such a harsh ayah. Then I shall punish. I shall be the one who's going to give that punishment. Right? لَا أُعَذِّبُهُ أَحَدًا مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ, that I have never given this type of a punishment to anyone in the world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, this is the final call. If you don't accept the message after having seen this, then this is the harshest of the harshest punishment that you're going to get. right? And think about it. When the punishments in hellfire are typically mentioned, it's typically described how the angels are going to be providing the torture to these individuals, right? It's the angels are doing this or that to these individuals. Now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, "U'adhibuhu, ana u'adhibuhu," I will punish them. He's taking it upon himself to make sure that this punishment is going to be carried out. And it's going, not only that, excuse me, la u'adhibuhu ahada min al-alamin, that this is going to be a punishment that has never been done before or carried out before. So it's such a harsh words that are being described. And then on top of that, think about what we just read in the previous, not just, but read in previous surahs, right? The Jews of Medina, they were asking the Prophet ﷺ that, "O Rasulullah, we can't believe in you until you make a sacrifice, and we see that God accepts that sacrifice by a fire coming down and taking that sacrifice." And so imagine what their ending would have been if Allah had actually given them that, and they still chose to deny. So out of their own good and for their own good, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send them anything of that nature. And so now it continues, وَإِذْ قَالَ اللَّهُ يَا عِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is continuing to build that case. And now Allah saying, "Ya Isa ibn Maryam, O Isa son of Mary, أَأَنْتَ قُلْتَ لِلنَّاسِ, did you say to the people, اتَّخِذُونِي وَأُمِّي إِلَهَيْنِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ, did you say to the people to take me and my mother as God other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?" Like Allah is asking Isa alayhi salam, did you say this to people? Did you tell them to take me as God? Me meaning Jesus? Qala. So Isa alayhi salam now responds, "Subhanak, glory be to you. You're above that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're above any type of claim that these people are making again, like such claim that they're making. Ma yakunu li an aqula ma laysa li bihaq." It is not appropriate for me. I can't even come to terms with saying such thing that is not right for me to say. Ma laysa li bihaq. That I don't even have the authority to say something like this. In kunta qultuhu faqad alimtahu. And by some stretch of imagination, if I'm not perfect, maybe if I had said it, right? In kunta qultuhu, even if I had said it, faqad alamtahu, then you would have known. You for sure will present the case to me that if I had said something like this, then tell me that I had. Ta'lamu ma fi nafsi, because you know exactly what's inside of me. You know what's considered in my heart. You know the things that I've said from my tongue. وَلَا أَعْلَمُ مَا فِي نَفْسِكَ, and I have no idea of what is within yours or what you contain. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ عَلَّامُ الْغُيُوبِ, indeed, you are the one who is the knowledgeable of the unseen. You have the full knowledge of the unseen. So here we see Isa alayhi salam, he is separating himself from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the sense that he is a separate being, a separate entity, and he is creating, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is creating this case, and he's explaining on the day of judgment, Isa alayhi salam is going to explain that he has no part in this shirk that these people are doing. That by no means did he ever make such a claim. مَا قُلْتُ لَهُمْ إِلَّا مَا أَمَرْتَنِي. And then Isa alayhi salam continues to say, I did not say anything to them except whatever you had told me to say. أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ رَبِّي وَرَبَّكُمْ. That worship God, my Lord, i.e. Isa alayhi salam's Lord, and Rabbakum, and your Lord. وَكُنْتُ عَلَيْهِمْ شَهِيدًا مَا دُمْتُ فِيهِمْ. And I was a witness over them until I was with them. Meaning I could only give them this message until I was there. فَلَمَّا تَوَفَّتَنِي كُنْتَ أَنْتَ الرَّقِيبَ عَلَيْهِمْ. And then when you took me, when you made me ascend, you alone have been the watcher over them. وَأَنْتَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. And you are a witness to all of it. You saw, you knew when they turned away. You knew that it wasn't my teaching, and you were a witness that it wasn't my teaching that these people were following when they associated the Trinity, when they associated the third of the three when they associated me being Isa alayhi salam being the son of God, right? And then Isa alayhi salam says, "In tu'adhibuhum fa innahum ibaduk." And if you are going to punish them, then fa innahum ibaduk, then they are your servants. Wa in taghfiru lahum, and if you are going to forgive them, fa innaka anta, then indeed you are al-azizul hakim, right? And you would have thought that Isa alayhi salam would have used al-ghafurur rahim here, for sure, because he's telling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that out of your mercy, even though the gravity of what they have said, that the heavens shake when they make such a claim, but you would if you forgave them, you are Azizul Hakim, the sifat that Isa alayhi salam chose to use to describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that situation. And again, this is a strong reminder for you and I, a very powerful reminder for you and I, that even in the situation where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not making immediate repercussions for us, He is Al-Aziz, He is Al-Hakim, He is fully capable, He is almighty, and He is Al-Hakim, the all-wise. قال الله, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds, يَوْمَ يَنْفَعُ الصَّادِقِينَ صِدْقُهُم. This is a day when the truthful will benefit from the truth, from their truthfulness. Meaning those who have stuck to their word. They weren't lying in this world, nor will they be lied to in the next. And their honesty, their truthfulness is going to benefit them. لَهُمْ جَنَّاتٌ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارِ, and they're going to have gardens and under which rivers are going to flow. خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا, and they are going to reside in it forever and ever. رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ, and they are going to be pleased. Allah will be pleased with them, and they will be pleased with Him. ذَلِكَ الْفَوْزُ الْعَظِيمُ, and that is the ultimate victory that they can ask for, that they can ever, the supreme triumph, you can call it, right? And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us a glimpse of what that situation, what that courthouse display would look like on the Day of Judgment. That you and I can understand and make sure that we are on the right side of that courthouse. That we are the ones that, inshaAllah, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are the ones who are who were truthful, and our truthfulness or honesty will come into play, so that inshaAllah that we would be entered into Jannah. Lillahi mulku samawat. And at the last ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concludes by saying that only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala belongs the mulku samawati, or the dominions of the skies and the earth, wa ma fihinna, and whatever is in between them. Wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir, and He is fully capable over every single thing. He is the one who is the final in charge of every single thing. And again, just because immediately when we lie against Allah, when we make a fabrication, when we do something that we know we're not supposed to do, and we're not struck by a thunderbolt, and we think we got away from it, and we think we can get away with everything else from after that, just because we're getting away, that doesn't mean Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not capable. He is capable. He can hold you accountable. He can make you face your deeds immediately as well. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His hikmah, has chosen to let that retribution come on the Day of Judgment. So don't take advantage of that in a negative way. We still have the opportunity to make tawbah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have the opportunity to rectify our deeds. So we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we heed the sincere advice. We take precautions so that we may be on the side that will be entered into Jannah. That we may be on the side that the shifa'ah of the Prophet ﷺ will be for us and not against us. That the Prophet ﷺ is not going to say that these people, they took the Quran as mahjura. They just put it on their shelf and let it be. And we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us sincerity in all of the work that we do. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. And that is the conclusion of Surah Maidah. Inshallah, we will be continuing on Surah Na'am next week. Bi'idhnillah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.